Okay, so again, this is for 10.1, and it's a review of GCF, which equals greatest common factor. And I just want to take some notes about what they were talking about. For me, this is going to be 16 and 17. So I'm going to flip back here to page 16. This is 17. And I'm going to say review of GCF. And this is going to kind of be all of our, this is like our unit 10, which is our unit 4. We're just going to kind of group them all together. We've been doing that. But the goal for page 17 is to review and remember GCF and the vocabulary. I'm going to leave some room in here though, because we're going to come back and add other things once we go back and, because we'll come back and add to this over this assignment for week 6. Okay, and so then I'm going to take my COVID notes. And so you're gonna take some COVID notes for yourself, right? Isn't that what we do second? Yeah. So I'm feeling pretty good because it's sunny outside. But you will take your notes. Again, this is a weird time. I think I say this every video. It's a weird time to be learning math. Like, it's so stressful to begin with. So just sort of record how you're doing. Take some notes about how you feel about GCF, and then a confidence for that, right? Oops, that says confidence score. GCF, how do you feel? 1 to 10. 1 being not yet. I don't understand it yet. I'm not confident in it yet. And number 10 being I got this. I am a pro. You can give it to me right now. I would pass the test. Yeah. So go ahead and do that. I'm realizing I forgot my scissors. Hold on. While you're taking some notes there, I'll go grab my scissors. Okay. So then we're going to come over here and we're going to talk about GCF. And the first thing that I want to do, I'm just going to take this extra piece of paper that I have, and I have my glass of water. I just want to draw 2 different circles. I just decided I want to use some color on here, make them pretty. I'm going to draw 2 different circles. I'm going to line them up on one of the lines here. I'm just going to draw around the bottom of my cup of water. I'm going to try not to spill water. That would be good. So there's one, and I just want them to overlap. If you've been in my class before, you've probably done GCF with me this way before. Like that. So I'm going to make these 2 overlapping circles. And so this is called a Venn diagram. And just to remind you kind of how it works, right? You've got, it's when you're comparing 2 different things. And this over here and this over here is how they're different. But this center part, that's how they are the same. So I'm gonna make that part kind of a different color, make it kind of green. Anyway, so now that I have my picture drawn, I'm going to kind of go like this, and I'm going to fold it kind of across the top there, and then I'm going to just trim it down so that I have something that looks like this. Maybe I'll cut my Venn diagram thing off. I'll write it up here. Just so that I remember, right? Maybe you don't have to write this. Maybe you already know about a Venn diagram. It's just kind of a nice thing to know about because it compares, it's a good way to compare two things. You might see it in writing classes too, because the teacher wants you to compare and contrast two things, and you could use this to take notes for that, because this is how they compare, right? The things they have in common, and this is how they contrast two different things. It's pretty slick. So I'm gonna also kind of cut right up along the sides of this center, so that I've got, you know how I like little things with flappies. And so the greatest common factor, right? So they defined it. It's the largest, the largest factor that two terms have in common. And again, a factor is like a little number that divides evenly into something. So let's just sort of review this. I'm going to glue this in my book right here so that I can write on it and it stays in one place. I sent you guys all the nice glue sticks, and I kept the dollar store ones for myself, so your glue sticks probably work better than mine. I'll have to get myself some nicer ones. So let's look at the factors of 36 and the factors of 48, and let's compare and contrast them. In the center there, we'll find the factors of both. I picked these two numbers just because they have a lot of factors, and so then it kind of makes it fun, I think. It makes it more fun. So factors of 36. Let's think of all the things that can go into 36. Well, so like he said in the video, you always want to start with 1 times the number, 1 times 36. But 2 can go in, 2 times 18. 3 can go in, 3 times 12 is 36. 4 can go in, 4 times 9. And then the last set of factors is 6 times 6. That's also 36. So now I've listed all of the factors of 36. Now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to list the factors of 48. So again, 1 times 48, that's always my starting place. 1 times the number. 2 times 24. It's even, so I know that 2 is going to go into it. 3 times 16. That one I had to use a calculator for, because I don't know my 16s very well. 4 times 12 is 48. And then 6 times 8 is 48. 6 times 8 is 48. That's one of those ones that rhymes. So now I'm going to come back here with my green pencil because I want to find all the factors of both. So what are the numbers that they have in common? Well, 2 goes into both. So I'm going to circle 2. I think that green shows up better. 3 went in. 4, 6 is on both lists. And then anything over here? Oh yeah, 12. So I could say the factors of both. Oh, and 1. Duh, can't forget 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they have 6 numbers in common. So those are their common factors. So their common factors are these ones. And then I have to ask myself, but which is the biggest? Which is the greatest common factor on this list? Well, that is going to be 12. So the largest number that's on both lists is the greatest common factor. So for 36 and 48, the greatest common factor is 12. But also, like that video showed us, we can find GCF of monomials, right? Monomials. Some of these words are hard to spell. And so the example that they gave us in the video was this. And they wanted us to find the common factors between these two things. And remember, he said to write it as, well, so 10 is 2 times 5, and then there's 1 C, and then there's 2 D's. And the reason for this is then you can like see really clearly, you can just see really clearly what they have in common without having to think too much, really. Over here, 25 is 5 times 5. I've got C to the third, so I'm going to write C 3 times. And then I have D squared, so I'm going to write D 2 times. And then I'm going to come back through, and he circled everything that they had in common. And so then your GCF for these two terms, these two monomials, is 5C D squared. Let's look at another example, because like some of them in WAMAP are gnarly. They're gnarly huge. And you just do them the exact same way though. So now I want to compare 12a to the fourth b squared c squared and 20a to the third b c squared. So I'm just going to do that same thing, right? I'm going to list out like the factors, right? I've got 3 times 4. I've got a to the fourth, so I'll write it 4 times. I have b 2 times. Let me move this over. And I have c 2 times. So now I'm going to do this one. So 20 is 5 times 4. I've got a to the third. I've got 1b, and I have c squared. And then I'm just going to come back through and circle everything that they have in common. So they both have a 4. Look at that. They both have 3 a's. Look at that. There's 1b. And there's 2 C's in both. So the greatest common factor of this would be 4a to the third, b to the 1, and c squared. So again, you're going to get faster at this. You know, I'm recommending maybe writing them out like this at first, but hopefully you'll kind of start to see like, oh, both of these numbers, I could take 5 out. I could take a c out of both. Oh, and I could take d squared. Like you'll just sort of start to see it. But I think at first it's helpful to sort of list it out. And so even though these look like big, scary monomials, it's still easy to factor that greatest common factor out if you just look at them for their individual parts. So hopefully this helps. So now your assignment, now we can put our popcorn away, right? Movie time for this section is over. So go ahead over to WAMAP to do 10.1 and then come back to the week 6 assignment when you're done with 10.1 and we'll start working on 10.2.